Hey guys, Boris here, bringing you another VOD review. Today we'll be jumping in game with Skipaeus on Project PBE, playing on patch 16.6 in preparation for the upcoming regionals tournaments. Now you'll have to pardon me with the VOD quality, as that's the quality Skipaeus has been streaming on, but I took a brief glance at the final board and it seemed very interesting to know how he managed to arrive there. And as we can already note, we are playing in the LeBlanc encounter, therefore we have possibility for some quite interesting combinations of augments coming up. Starting out here with a Briar pair and a sword and a bow. We could be considering playing Incomplete Form Slayer's line. We also have picked up the Piltover units. Now I think the ban on T-Hex got lifted for them, therefore it's also a strong possibility, and also we have this 4 Piltover opener right away available for us on the first augment. Now, if we are playing for this strong 4 Piltover potential, we would probably be looking some form of items to unlock them, but we have not managed to 2-star any of our units either. Therefore could be leaning into Econ High Voltage, which generally just a little undertuned, as most of the comps at the moment do want to run a Void Staff if they do so. Pandora's could accelerate our items if we opt to do so. So therefore now we'll be probably defaulting between Pandora's and Raining Gold, depending on how strong we compare our board to the rest of the lobby. I'm going to opt to go for an Econ Augment since we believe our board is a little bit weaker. Speedy Double Kill will be playing more into some kind of stronger stronger opener into something like a Kaisa or a Yunara, and Silco's Revenge more would be into the zone line for a tempo, as in the later game it's weaker. Therefore we're just going to opt to go for Slamming, as that is definitely the strongest option right here. Also gives us an item. We do have a Viego too in our shop, but unfortunately I don't think this is going to be a Shadow Isles game. Would have wanted that Yorick unlock already on 2-1 to do so, but going to pick it up nonetheless, as this is going to be a great item carry and our only 2-star unit at the moment. Could also, yeah, we actually can just unlock this Yorick to be paired together with a Loris and still potentially consider this as an out. We do have slammed the Titans and a GS, therefore potentially could even be a Warwick. I'm going to do a late level here. Since we won the round, we do want to be winning the next round. Just gonna level for the higher potential shop odds, and as a consequence perhaps we have managed to hit the Vi. Now we opted to go for the Gigantification Ray for our next Piltover mod, as that generally simply would provide more frontline for us. The other options would have required us to lean into slightly different lines. Against a Xin Zhao Hero Augment, now fortunate perhaps to some that might note that this Xin Zhao Hero Augment hasn't been performing the best in the PB, with the tempo accelerated through some of the other unlocks. Sitting on the Xin 3 until you get to your Zaheen has been proven to be quite weak, therefore you definitely want to be hitting it quite far. Going to go for an aggressive level here, wanting to secure that 3 streak and contest the 5 streak here, going up against the Crown of the Masia Kog'Maw. And yeah, this level gives us enough frontline Viego to still being very strong early game unit, so very well read that we can pick this Viego. This gives us the direct exact barrier to the Yorick, and now with the level before, we have picked up a Nautilus and can push aggressively. Since we are playing with an Econ Augment, we can opt to do so and maintain a streak, which should put us in a very great spot. Now we have an open item, probably would want to consider making some kind of damage items if we could, but right, okay, this just gives us Y2, right? Should have seen that coming right away. On to the next augment. Birthday Present would not work retroactively, so going to reroll that. Now, Radiant Relics would give us the most immediate tempo. Buried Treasures also plays into tempo, but it would be quite delayed since we did not have that offered on 2-1, therefore probably going to be considering Buried Treasures. Now we have our sticky spot. Again, Spoils of War would have wanted it earlier. We have a strong board, but we already have an Econ Augment, therefore we could be lacking in being able to cash it out. Otherwise we could just default the Cursed Crown and try to push for max tempo here, which would probably be the play, unless we want to obviously play it safe and pick Radiant Relics, which is another option for us. Therefore interesting to see how do we manage to navigate this decision. Do get offered World Runs, which is again another Econ Augment, and going to slam that since it gives us item tempo and does not put us in a Cursed Crown spot where we could just lose a couple of lives. Able to make 10 here. We do get offered Zone and a Ionia emblem. Now we have some potential for a Zone if we were able to tag in with another unit. I'm not exactly sure how we're going to play around the Ionia in the later games. Now, the thing to note with this augment, you do not necessarily have to be playing with all 4 region traits activated. You can just use it as a tempo item augment, as is done here, and still farm that 2 passive XP. This will put us very close to level 6. If we're able to close out on a 5 streak, we're very good here. Level to 6 on afterwards. And should be able to hopefully 6 streak, and that will put us our econ in a good spot with farming that 4 XP per turn from our augments. Now we have this open glove that we have not slammed, therefore we are missing out on the slamming value though. Have to see if Skipaeus notes this. As you can see, even sometimes the best players forget that they have this option available to them. Pick up a Mundo here that we could tag in for zone. Also perhaps they're not one, no, I believe the econ still would have been worth it in the earlier game. But wanted to see what other options we do. Have the double Jinx drop as well. Now we would have a Warwick unlock right here to pair with our quick striker in form of Viego. Could definitely do that if we opted to do so. Now that we have econ augments, probably going to pass up on rolling then lunch money. Would default best friends as a potential combat, but would want to make sure that the lobby is playing sufficient amounts of AD for that. Otherwise, probably would be looking for some kind of item or combat augment. Lineup's probably just going to be a better air hex. Could sort of Sunder for us would also be a good option if we opted to do so. Lineup would still allow us to navigate between this AP and AD. However, our items quite heavily seem to indicate that we should be playing for some form of AD. Healing orbs would again be more in the melee comp. I believe if we do go for air axiom, we could just go, yeah. Because then we can use these gloves for offensive items right here. Now, are we going to remember that we do have this slam in value right now? Going to slam the items to unlock the Warwick, and we are still holding, so we have forgotten that we do have this slam and opting to not even float the components. Sometimes you just forget these things. It happens to be the same. Now we remember. Now we slammed the adaptive helm. There we go. Now we are good. Now, don't think we can play around this vein anymore since we opted to sell that Nautilus. We also have a redundancy form of Shred in the Aphelios and the Air Hex. Sorry, Sunder. Therefore, we could also be opting to play Gwen if we wanted to, or yeah, this Tristana for a Gunslinger. First game of the day for Skipaeus, therefore he probably is a little bit not fully on top of his game. Going to level aggressively here. I'm able to find a Misfortune now and unlock the Warwick for ourselves as well. But still we can see how the board is kind of floating together, but I'm very interested into what final end state we arrive to. This should be quite some kind of cooked board. Now, unfortunately, drop our streak here to the Zaheem, but get the unlocks rolling for ourselves. Callista and Warwick should give us quite considerable spike to our board. For our item, we still have not made any tank items, but we can pick up a Mundo here, although we saw the previous Mundo and do not have exactly a bruiser to pair with him. Also unlock the Skarner, which is thing to note that, again, Skarner now unlocks but by having simply a chain vest or chain vest item on any of your non-tank units. Now this is going to be counting from the Titans on the Jinx there before. Going to slot a very strong board now, and hopefully we're able to pick up with it. There's a Belveth too against us from the starter kit, which seems now, due to their lacking augments and always have immediate power, we might win, but no. The Vi just seemed to be stunned there, which was quite interesting. Going to drop the Warwick since we're able to pick up a Jinx too. Now, if we had remembered slamming, we would be a little richer here. Otherwise, being level 7, 20 pumped with 40 here is quite fine for us. Going long Hustler. Now, this LeBlanc encounter has provided us with quite interesting combos right here. Against another player playing around some point of potential Shadow Isles board themselves. But unfortunately, on a loose streak on their side have not really managed to string together that tempo from their augment combinations. Going to opt to go for a level 8 aggressively here and unlock the set. That would pair us with the Ionian Emblem. Yeah, right, now since you only need to unlock Thresh, you need the 5-star levels of Shadow Isles. You are able to do that quite easily as well. I'm going to switch our board to already quite proficient board, and now we can see how we are playing maximally around these new unlock conditions to just spike our board naturally from these unlocks, and hopefully we're able to cook up something very interesting. Now going to slam a Hodge here. Where do we put this sword? Want to slam it? I'll just put it on Skarner for now. Now against the Kaisa with the Crown of Demacia, probably the best user in the set at the moment, but we are able to take it out when the Jinx finally gets her ramp. Seems that the Titans on the Jinx is still performing quite well. Did not get touched, you know, Yunara did, right, in the patch before, but Jinx still seems to be doing quite decently. Also with the zone nerfs, well, the bug fixed more proficiently, we do probably not want to go above 3 zone, therefore going to be sitting around this. And do not have the Ziggs items to really be capping around that either. But we could be playing around this Jinx and pair it together with something like a Senna in the later game state. At this point we should just be able to cruise our way to level 9 with the econ advantage we have managed to establish from our augments. Plotting out, slotting in that Garen, as the Garen is going to be unlocking the Silas Forest. Can see that the Garen has been quite contested unit in these Project PBE lobbies, as every lobby that runs something like Nico can very easily slot in a Silas for themselves and get the Arcanist buff on the rest of the team as well. And then another Kaisa player that has the Bruiser Volibear version playing together. Unfortunately, we do not have exactly the sufficient amount of damage to get through this Bruiser core, especially since they have the Bramble Vest on their side. But should be quite fine, as we are making this econ, and when we are also farming the extra 8 XP from the World Ruins for a few turns now with the Ionia Zone, Shadow Isles, and Piltover. Very well spotted by Skipaeus how to string this board together quite masterfully. Something that only comes with an experience at this point. Going to opt to slam a Deathblade here, get the Ionia Emblem there. Can just transition the Titans to the set, which could be quite fine. And yeah, if you're able to get this, string these kind of boards together, World Ruins should be better. It receives the buff in the amount of XP you're receiving. I believe we saw before that you do get 6 XP now per turn when you have these 4 regions slotted in. And also naturally is going to obviously lead us to play for some kind of potential rise cap. Now, if we opted to unlock Rise, we probably will want to do that following turn, and we should be still quite good on gold, but we have so much of our board to hit that 50 gold at level 9 might be sufficient. This is the thing that players sometimes get wrong, by the note that, oh well, we level to 50 with 50 gold to level 9, but remember these 5 cost units cost 5 gold, right? And if you're having to 2-star one of them, that's 15 gold at least already sunk down in a single unit. Now, going to level to 9 here, we're going to unlock the Ziggs. Not sure if we're going to be playing around that, but should be able to unlock Rise without an issue. Or have we blocked out our... No, we still have Rise in, right? We're slotting in for Piltover just to get the extra beef on our front line. Level 9, 70 gold, and we do get double Rise shop. Get a T-Hex unlocked as well, so we're also playing around a T-Hex now. This board is going to be some finest level cookery. We have 2-star set, 2-star Rise. Get the T-Hex online, 2-star Thresh. This is absolute madness what we are witnessing. This is the full potential of this set coming into display with these unlock condition changes. Now, are we strong enough to take it as Zaheen? Zaheen does get to our backline, unfortunately, so we're able to lose to him. I had to say that the Zaheen is not performing as well, and Bintum, the one and only, has been returning and showing us again once we're wrong. We do lack in a little bit of an item now that we have so many potential carries. Now we get the Silas on as well. Are we going to be playing around it? This is full madness that we're witnessing at the moment. We have the Senna in our shop if also, but we just simply need some frontline units, right? We cannot be passing up. The Thresh is not going to be holding the frontline solo for us. Now the Volibear does get on our backline again. I'm not exactly sure if playing around this Jinx as your item holder at this point is better, but who else would be using this Deathblade? Well, obviously T-Hex, but Jinx 2 theory should be better than the T-Hex, and obviously T-Hex is the gunslinger that we're having paired. Also could be considering transitioning the TG to some other more valuable unit. Yeah, going to E to for the extra moment vamp on the fighter, transition the T-Hex on the Silas, who's going to use it quite well. Fortunately, Slayer is able to take out our T-Hex, and we are on the rogue side, so Set is going to get a late reset. Could potentially in these situations consider solo frontlining Set, but now we do have simply more unit value and augment value from the extra recon we managed to hit. This is another great display of how to utilize when you do take these double econ augments. Obviously we managed to hit our units quite early, but we had so many outs that we could potentially be playing around. Whenever you are on these high econ spots, you do want to be spiking quite hard, quite early, and then leveraging that the HP you're going to be saving to potentially even cap higher, as other players with item and combat augments are going to naturally be able to scale higher than you. Able to sort out our Morello. Now, was a little bit noted on positioning, should probably slam this on the rise. First game of the day incident, but the Set got an early reset and was able to take it out. Yeah, I'm going to lose another round of the value of slamming, but we're slowly making our way to level 9. We can just see how strong this augment combination is when it fully comes to display. Against another Riseborn, we see there's also a Baron there, so it could be quite square even though we have this unit value. Now this player has a flexible board as well, so with a Zillion too. But the Set still seems to be an absolute beast, even though in these Project PBE, something that has been proficient the whole set. That Set is extremely strong of a unit once you manage to 2-star him and get that early reset on him. That's the thing you have to be the most conscious about. Now, who do we slot at in there at level 10? Probably some form of an extra frontliner if we all wanted to. And at this point, probably we'll be looking for another Rise item. Right, we could just now we're going to get the solution setting. Let's look at the Arcanist buff for our whole team. Have quite a lot of AP damage in, therefore it's going to work out quite nicely for us. Going to be keeping TG on the Silas at the moment as he's simply the better user. Now, could consider transitioning the GS to the Silas, but sorry, the Rise Bow, but we are only a single remover. Have been using them quite aggressively, able to pick up this Silas too. They are still on Baron 1 with the level up on their side. Hopefully we're able to close this lobby out, and this is just absolutely a wild board that we're seeing. Masterfully played with this many games on set. This is the full, obviously as I mentioned, the full display of the potential of this set with these looser unlock conditions, and whenever this patch comes live, I'm sure we're going to be seeing even more potential cookery. Perhaps even the Rise portal is finally going to be quite interesting for us, and able to take out Baron 1, and now we're against the Bintum. This Zaheen that this at the start of the set, and we also have a perfect trait web. God damn, this guy is absolutely insane. Able to pick up the 2-star Ari. Now, going to be wanting to get this set to reset as fast as possible for us. Unfortunately, the Zaheen starts obviously on our Thresh. It's able to mow him down quite fast. Now, do we have enough oomph to be able to do this? Zaheen is going to revive, but the Set comes in and drops the absolute nuke, and we're able to win. Holy, this was an absolutely crazy game. Very interesting to WOD review this one, even though with small minor mistakes, displaying how to capitalize on the econ gain whenever you're playing from these extra econ augments. I hope that you enjoyed watching and you learned something new just like I did, and I wish to see you in the next one. Have a good one.